broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, welcome everybody, and thanks for joining me for another edition of Mastering the Marketing here every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Hope you guys, if you're in the U.S., hope you guys enjoyed, a great Memorial Day weekend. As you know, we did postpone or cancel rather yesterday's training session, so don't be alarmed if you thought you missed out. We did cancel that session on purpose. So today you're going to get a little bit of a double dip. We are actually going to be sharing not only this week's plan, but we're also going to be doing a condensed version of the Convert training that would have been done yesterday. So my name's Craig Carpenter, by the way. If you don't know me, I'm the Client Success Manager here at Curator. Each week, we're dedicated to bring you the training that you need in order to execute listing promotions, the weekly marketing plan, Convert, so you can build your business and find transaction-ready leads in your database, grow your brand, and ultimately do more business here every year. Before we get started, I just want to do a quick audio check, and I want to make sure that my screen share is working. So give me a thumbs up if you can, in fact, see my screen, and if you can hear me clearly, that always helps too. So give me a thumbs up here in the chat. Hey, Christina, great seeing you here on the call. Happy Tuesday. And let me know if this is your first time on a call, if you're brand new, or if you've been with us for a long time and you're really looking to kind of just take pro tips away from these trainings at this point. Mari, great seeing you. Cool. Terry, great to see you on the call as well. And Marie, we're getting some thumbs up here. And Elisa, great to see a first timer on the call. And Belinda, great to see you too. This is exciting. So I love seeing a lot of new faces. This is really fun for me. And be aware that this is also an open Q&A. So treat this like an open mic. If you have a question, please drop it in the chat. If I don't get to it during the training, I will absolutely always get to it at the end of the trainings. So stay tuned for that as well. So without further ado, I want to kick things off by introducing everybody to where we post the weekly marketing plan. So in the mastermind group, every single week, our community manager, Jillian, she will post that typically on a Monday, but obviously with a holiday week here, we posted this today. And this is going to give you everything that you need. So you have access to the content itself. You have the access to the plan, the assets, everything you would really need to get started. We also host this in our help center, and I'll bring that up at help.curator.com. If you've never been there, make sure that you bookmark that, go to that site, and then bookmark that. And we always host the training and the assets in the weekly marketing plan and training hub. And then you can go in and you can find each month by month content. And you can actually, here's the pro tip. Because we have all of the previous months here, you can go back and execute a campaign from a couple weeks, a couple months ago that maybe fits your brand or fits your strategy better than maybe something that we produce this week. So if you say, hey, I've done something similar to this week, or this doesn't really fit my model, you can go back and you can actually pull from previous month's content. Furthermore, we have all of the recorded sessions. So we have all of this here for listing promotions. That's going to be the biggest way to get exposure on your listings. We have trainings on Convert 101. And then down here, we have the registration, recordings, and the links to the content in the mastermind group for every single weekly marketing plan. So hopefully you guys are taking advantage of this. If you didn't know about this, hopefully now this makes you feel a lot more comfortable knowing you have the recordings, you have the training, you have the assets, and we provide that for you every single week. So if you execute what we teach and you use Convert, there is no question about it. You will grow your business. You will talk to more people about real estate. Those conversations will turn into relationships. Those relationships will turn into your next future deals. So for this week, if you've seen this already, great. You might have already kind of processed this in your mind, what this will look like. If you haven't, we're keeping it simple. this is a in case you missed it type of campaign. So what that means is this is more of a roundup of your content that you've been working on over the past few weeks. So we took some of the top producing campaigns. We actually took a look at what campaigns perform the best for our clients and what really has the highest impact. And we put those 5 over the past 3 or 4 months. We put those together into one email blast. So this is going to be an email only, and it's going to be a roundup of your most popular content. Now, why do we do this? Because we know there's people in your database that maybe have seen an email, maybe they looked at a listing, maybe they don't look at your emails every single week, and they might have missed something that might have been interesting or valuable to them. And by doing this, you give them a second chance to see this content, and you get an extra chance to see who is engaging with what in your database. So it actually has twofold. It's really to help the consumer to get more interesting content in front of them and let them choose. And for you, you get to say, okay, now they're looking at seller content on my site. When before, I thought maybe they were looking at just listings, but now they're actually looking at buyer-related content as well. So that's the concept here. So let's get in. Let's go into execute. I'm actually going to take a real client site here, somebody who I know has been executing and has the content on their site. So to do this, we're going to log in to the website, and let me bring this back. Let me take this back a step because I think this is important for anybody who's really new to understand. We'll start with logging in. How do you log into your site? You first are going to remove or replace www with manage.yourdomain. That's going to bring you to the login screen, and then that's going to bring you back to this dashboard here. So this dashboard is going to allow you to go in and start using Brain, create, advertising, blast, and convert. So those are all the areas or the tools that you would have access to. Now, while you're here, this is what I really think is important. I always like doing this. I like to duplicate my tab. So again, I like to duplicate the tab, so I have 2 of them open here. And we're going to go directly to the blast. Remember, today is a blast only campaign. When you're going to create a blast, you always start with this big red button. We're going to create a blast. And I'm sorry, I'll also pause here. If you're following along with our document, which obviously that's why we establish this every week, is we give you exactly what to do in this document as well. So if it's not apparent to you when you get the content, you can go in and work step by step with the who's, the what's, the whys, and all of these pieces here. And I see a lot of people here, all of these little animals here are all people looking at the content now. So that's exciting to see that people are already getting in here to use this. So we see that this is actually relevant in the email for buyers, sellers, and past clients. So guess what? This is going to give you a reason to stay in touch with your past clients. So the first thing we want to do is these are going to be different audiences. We have to understand that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with past clients, and I might even type that in. I have a past client audience. I see I have past clients in Sphere, past clients leads in Sphere. If you need to create a new past client audience, I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So I'm going to go to create a list. And this is all documented in our help center as well. I'll even bring that up here on the call. If you just type in blast audiences, and if you can spell correctly, that always helps. Blast audience guide here. This is going to show you how to build all of the audiences that we teach, the Magic Million, the Chunky Middle, the Sweet Spot, and your past clients as well. So you can refer to this guide. I'll even drop this in the chat for everybody. So everybody has this on hand. And you guys should all have that now. So then I'm jumping back up here. And to show you how to build your past client database, it's really easy. We're going to focus on stages here. So I'm choosing stage past client. You also have the ability to choose stage of closed. The reason why this would be important to understand is closed typically are people who have bought with you in the last calendar year. Past clients would be outside of that. So if you're sending an email to people of has anything changed, why selling your home today, is important, like some information about selling. If you sold a home to somebody like a month ago, that might not be as relevant. So sometimes you might exclude closed, but for this case, we're going to include both of them, past clients and closed. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to save that audience, and I'm going to type in the number 4, and I'm going to type in past clients. And the reason I do that, just so you know, is the way Blast sorts your audiences is numeric first, then alphabetically. So by having this, I now have the ability, and this client has a lot of audiences, so it's a little bit, there's a lot more than maybe you would have necessarily. It will sort that. Typically, this is going to be on page 1. So if you had it really cleanly outlined, you would have 1, Magic Million, 2, Chunky Middle, 3, Sweet Spot, and then you would have 4, past clients. And those would be all on one page. And then anything after that would really be like agents. Like he has a renter kind of section of his database. So that's how you would maybe create other audiences outside of that. So for this one, to send it to those past clients, I've created the audience. Then I'm going to select the audience. And then I'm going to continue. In this section, this is where you can write and create any email that you wanted to. So this email, the reason why we provide you the documents every single week is because you can copy and paste. You can take this. I can come in here, copy the subject line, paste that in, and I can be on my way. Alternatively, we've loaded our templates up for you. So this has become something, and if you had been with us for a long time, you know how simple this makes executing the marketing plan. So if you've struggled in the past because of time or not being able to put things together, we think we've eliminated that for 99% of our clients. So if you are having trouble executing because of time, that no longer necessarily becomes an excuse unless you really just don't have time to commit, which we can talk about afterwards as well. But here under Load Template is where you have access to all of the previous templates here. Now you won't have access to remove this template. That is a admin access that we have for Curator employees. But what you see is all of the featured templates are going to be here in chronological order. So this is the most recent one, and all I have to do is hit load. And just like that, look, my campaign is preloaded for me. Now all we have to do is give them the content, right? And that's why I have these two pieces open. So the first one is the 5 most Instagrammable places in, and I'm going to put Boston. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into create. And that was a blog post that I did. So I'm going to come down to create. I'm going to look at blog posts, and I'm going to scroll down and find this. And just by clicking on it, that's going to bring me to the actual content here on the front end. And once I have that, I take this link. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to come back over here to my email. I'm going to remove this. These were instructions, so I'm just going to delete that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hyperlink to that article. So basically, you're going to highlight, and then you're going to click the hyperlink chain link, And I'm just going to paste that in. I am going to have that open in a new tab. So that's important. I always like to make sure these open in a new tab when somebody's in a mobile device. It really helps. So I have this. You might be familiar as well with the hot links. So that means if I were just to paste this, standalone, there we go. This is what you would get. So this would be kind of the standalone article. Now, the reason I'm not doing this is because this is takes up a little bit of space in the email itself. And so we want this easy to digest, easy to read. And so that's why I'm doing hyperlinks instead of the hot links here. Feel free if you think that you want that imagery, but for the most part, we want it to be easy for the consumer to get that content. This one, the next one, is 3 Game of Thrones castles you've got to see. So that's going to be the next one I'm going to produce. Oh, let me get rid of that. And I'm going to go back into my previous, I'm going to delete this. I'm going to go back into my previous editor. Now this was a page. These were pages that I created a couple weeks ago for that plan. So I'm going to go into my pages, and then here's the Game of Thrones Castles blog page. So again, this content is all of the content you've been doing over the past few weeks and months. If you're newer to Curator, there's nowhere. I actually encourage you, maybe not the Game of Thrones one, that's already kind of come and gone, but you can go back and execute these previous campaigns at any point. So then I'm going to take this page, copy that link, and then I'm going to come here to hyperlink this, paste, open in new tab, insert. So just a couple clicks of a button. So as you see, we're getting through this now. We're already at number 3. Is selling your home right now a mistake? That was a blog from one of our previous, I believe in March, was one of our previous ones. So I'm going to go into the posts. And again, I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to find this. Is selling your home right now a mistake? Click on it. And so the content that we're providing has a variety of topics, right? Some of it's more pop culture and engaging. So the Instagrammable places, the Game of Thrones castles. But then we have content that really drives intent, like is selling your home right now a mistake? Oh. And let me go back here. I clicked on one too many buttons there. So then we're going to take this link. Is selling your home right now a mistake? Again, I'm deleting the directions. Anything you see in brackets that's bold typically is just a direction here within the email template. I'm going to copy, hit the hyperlink, paste, open a new tab, insert. So highlight, hyperlink, paste, open a new tab, and that's it. So you're really taking a few clicks of buttons to put this together. The next one is Love It or List It. Again, that was a seller-focused blog, and that's right here underneath. So I'm going to click on that. And that takes just a minute right now. My internet's running a little slow today for some reason. And at the same time, I know that the hidden cost of selling your home is going to be the next one. So that one is right here, the hidden cost of selling your home the Silicon Valley way. So I'm going to click on that as well and get that one started. So this one is the blog Love It or List It. I'm going to copy that URL. I'm going to delete, highlight, insert link button, paste, open a new tab, insert. So again, we're moving pretty quickly here. Now we're already on the last one. I'm taking the hidden cost blog and I'm copying that. And then I'm doing the same thing. I'm highlighting, insert link, paste, open a new tab and insert. And then don't forget to delete this. And then lastly, down here, our goal is to be the pulse of X. So that's going to be your community. Our goal is to be the pulse of Boston. You could say, the Boston community. And your feedback means everything to us. So you could even do something like this, bold the PS, bring some attention to it. Hey, by the way. So what we have here is a personalized email. So this is going to bring in their first name. We have 5 articles worth reading twice. If you wanted to add an emoji, if you had anything that you wanted to add, the one that I might recommend would be maybe this one, the book. So now you have that book, 5 articles worth reading twice. We've hyperlinked those 5 articles. We've emboldened the PS. You can always make sure to sign off. I like to say, hey, Craig, or hey, Bess, whatever your sign off might be, take care, talk soon. Then, once you have this email drafted, it's extremely important, extremely important to always send a test email. Now, you can send this to yourself. You can type in an address. You can send it to somebody in your office. I always recommend that if you're a marketer, send it to the owner or send it to the owner and a salesperson. If you're a single agent, send it to your significant other. Send it to a colleague in your industry that you trust. Send it to a friend who maybe is a copywriter or in marketing. Send it to somebody you know and trust who's going to give you some feedback before sending this to your entire database. Once you've sent that, you can schedule it to send, or you can go back and make a revision. We feel good about this, so we're going to schedule it to send. And here's something really important. I'll go back for a minute. If this is your first time sending emails, I want you to make sure, I'll come back here, that you understand that when this sends, whether it's here or whether it's in the subject line, during the test email, that won't pull in your name because that's not necessarily somebody in your database. When this sends to people in your database, it does pull in the first name either in the email or in the subject line. So you could use them in different places. The actual email will pull in that name. The test email does not. So keep that in mind. And then lastly, this is where we're actually going to send the email. So why is this important? Because there's 2 options, and this matters, in the big scheme of things, this matters a lot in terms of how your database receives this. So best times, people are always asking, what's the best time to run an ad or send an email? And really, there's a lot of recommendations, there's a lot of gurus, there's a lot of companies that pull data that might not be relevant for you. What I'm about to say will be relevant for you because it's our internal data. And so we have, during Monday through Friday, we see spikes of open rates between the hours of 3 and 8 p.m. So what does that mean? It means that if you're showing up in someone's database, during those times, you have a higher likelihood of getting seen. Does that mean you should send all emails at 8 p.m.? No, that's probably not the best idea because you're kind of missing out on that sweet spot. But what we are recommending is if you send emails between 2 and say 5 p.m., you do have a higher likelihood of getting seen because you're going to show up during that window. So to do so, right now it's 1:28 in East Coast time. So could I send it now? Probably. I mean, I'd probably still get some good viewership on this. But what I would want to do is send it for a specific time that I think would help me to get those open rates. And I'm going to schedule this for tomorrow, just so it doesn't send today. And I'm going to choose a time, and I'm going to choose 3:30. So 2 more hours out, because I do want to show up during that window of when people are going, getting out of afternoon meetings, getting coffee, leaving work. The commute home is a big time where you get visibility in social channels. And by all means, the email, the inbox, the way iPhones and smartphones work, the inbox is an app. So you are getting some of that visibility through there. People picking up their kids at school, waiting in a parking lot for 15, 20 minutes. People who are at the gym after work. Guess what? In between sets or out while they're doing cardio, they're checking their phone. While they're making dinner, after dinner, while they're on the couch. This is all why you need to make it convenient for your consumer. And if you're sending emails at 10, 11 a.m., you may be missing out on some of that visibility. And you may hear some gurus say 11 a.m., every Thursday is the best time to send an email. Yes, if you are in digital tech sales, that is probably a very good time to send an email. But for your consumers, we need to be active when and where they live. So anywhere between 2 and 5 p.m., those are ideal times. You can schedule this to send. We confirm it here. And then just like that, you've successfully scheduled this blast to go out for tomorrow at 3:30 to your past clients. So that's going to give you the confirmation email. So you've just blasted. This wasn't a full cab because you've already done a lot of this work before, but that's how you're going to send that email to get more visibility on this. Now, obviously, you have the ability to go in, as I mentioned, and send this to other areas in your database. In fact, I see them working on one right now, which would be the Chunky Middle 12-month blast engagement. So just to show you what that audience is going to look like is it's going to be hot prospects and leads. I would also say nurture should be a part of this. These are some tags that have been excluded for this client, which you wouldn't have to do. And their blast activity is going to be within the last 12 months. So if you're looking to say, hey, Craig, what does that mean for me? Realistically, you can focus on your chunky middle. And your chunky middle, again, is defined up here. This is how you build those audiences. This is the complete audience guide. But the chunky middle is going to be any lead, nurture, or hot prospect that has opened an email in the last 90 days. So that would be who our recommended audience would be for this particular campaign. And then obviously a separate email for past clients. So this is going to be, you would do this email twice to your chunky middle and to your past clients. So keep that in mind. You can only send to one of these at a time. You technically actually could build an audience that includes both of them. But if you really want to keep your metrics separate and be able to view at who's opening what, that would be what I would recommend is one email to chunky middle, one email to past clients. So we have this email scheduled. We have this going out. And now we're going to be able to see all the people who opened and engaged. And so this is where I want to transition a little bit into Convert. I'm going to check the channel for some questions at this point, and then I also want to ask who here has used Convert, who uses it consistently within their business, and who here has never even heard of Convert. I'd like to hear some feedback from the chat. And I'm going to check the questions here. Yeah, Walter's asking a good question. So he's saying the Instagrammable post, is that already set for places in your specific area? We hadn't published this because we're newer to the systems. So Walter, 90% of our content is ready to publish. 10% of our content you have to actually personalize or customize, and that post was one of them. So basically what you're doing is you would go into Instagram, you would type in like here in Boston, like Fenway Park is huge. So Fenway Park is a natural place to say, okay, I'm going to type in Fenway Park into Instagram. And then I'm going to find some posts that might relate to that. Fenway Park on Instagram. And then I'm going to actually take one, like this one's pretty cool. Something like this that got 30,000 likes there. And you're going to find one that you like, maybe even something like this. But yeah, you could take something like this. And then you're just going to embed this. Take the embed code. And then you're going to embed that onto your website. So onto that page, onto that blog. And then that blog is what you're going to put in the Facebook ad. You're going to use that in your email blast. And then you can also bring attention to it on your Instagram page as well. So there is a little bit of work involved in that. And you can go back and watch that training. That is from our April, I believe. I'm going to say April. Come into Marketing Plan, Training Hub. Come down here to the April plan. As I scroll down, it was from April 9th. And here you have the assets for the Facebook ad, for the email and everything. And then you also have the training here. So keep that in mind. So that's where you're going to use that. But great question. So that is one of the ones that you're going to have to do some work on. Emery saying, I've been using Convert, but not as much as I should have. Why is that, Emery? Walter is starting to use it. Yeah, me and Walter had a conversation about it a couple weeks ago. Guys, this is your microscope into your database. If you want to do more business, you need to talk to the right people. You need to be more efficient with your time, and that's what Convert helps you to do. Yeah, Christopher is still learning it. Seems helpful. It is. It is. So let's jump in there. We're going to give kind of a condensed version of Convert training. And right now I'm logged into to another client site here. So here I'm on my boy Larry's site with Florida Homes Boca Raton. And I want to bring you into a couple ways you can use Convert. There's 3 ways really. Convert just as is. So Convert where you're in the actual Convert interface. Here you're looking at Convert as trending. So these are people who most recently engaged. You can look at Convert, this is timeline, most recently engaged. This is trending, people with highest point totals. Here's the thing, people who convert, who use Convert like recently are going to be more important for you to know than necessarily anybody with a high score. So keep that in mind. You can click on that profile. You can see all of the basic information from Follow Up Boss. So all this information is pulled from Follow Up Boss. You can see all of their activity, all of their recent activity on your site here. Why is that important? Because now you know exactly what they are doing, and you know exactly how you should reach out and how you should craft that pitch or that introduction. Now, if you get to find somebody who maybe you reached out, you called them, they didn't pick up, or they don't have a phone number like this one, you sent them a video message, because you should send, and I want you guys to write this down, if you don't have a phone number, you should be sending a video message through email. Using BombBomb, if you don't want to use a paid service like BombBomb, there is Soapbox and there is Loom, Loom, Soapbox or Loom. but you need to be sending these individuals a video to introduce yourself and actually provide some value to them. So after you do this, say if you didn't contact Mike Weiss, but you want to stay in touch with him, you can simply follow him. And what that does is under follow, it gives you a your own custom smart list of people that you want to stay in touch with, people that you want to see every single time you log in. So I know next time I log in, I might try to see what Mike Weiss has been up to again in a really short, condensed version. And if you don't like somebody, if you say, there's a past client that you never want to work with again, you can simply snooze that person for a certain amount of time or forever. And then those people will live over here under snooze. And unfortunately, and it doesn't hurt my feelings, typically with my clients, I always help them snooze my activity, because oftentimes we don't want to clutter up their attention with a courier employee. So we don't take that personally, so keep that in mind. And then lastly, there is the nudge. And the nudge is super important if you are a sales manager, an ISA, an owner, a director of operations, somebody whose sole responsibility is to get agents to follow up with leads. So these individuals, this activity, if I'm Larry and I have multiple agents, say Joy is my agent, and this person is assigned to Joy. Well, I'm logged in, but I know Joy might have 3 listing appointments today. Is she logging in? Probably not. And maybe, somebody on my team is an underperformer. And my whole responsibility is to make them a top producing agent. Well, what I can do is I can now click on Joy or my agent, and you can send this message, or you can send a personalized message. Hey, Joy, Mike was viewing properties in Boca Raton. All were between 4 and 600K. Please reach out today. No phone number. Use Soapbox. So get this. If you are a team right now and you do have an underperforming agent, or you're an existing team and you are struggling to get your agents to use Convert, or you have an accountability problem, well, think about this. If you're logging every day for 30 minutes, and you might even be a producing agent right now too, and you're responsible for other agents, you can strip the agents of any excuse for not having good conversations or lead follow-up by sending a message like this every single time you see one of their people. You can cherry pick the people that they should reach out to. Even if it's 5 people a day, you can be helping them to talk to those people. And so that's the kind of first step of using Convert, is understanding some of the functionality. Now, the 2 ways that I'm going to show you now that I actually prefer in terms of workflow, and this is how I teach it, is by thinking in terms of activities. So you know that you create, advertise, and blast. That's our marketing strategy, CAB, CAB. You're going to hear that over and over again if you haven't already. So if you CAB every week and you use our weekly marketing plan, guess what? You're going to have activity in here that's going to help you to identify the right people to talk to. So for instance, if I have something like the difference between 400, 700, and $1 million home, well, if I look at this email, I can see, stats. I can see how many people opened, how many people clicked. Even this open house Saturday and Sunday, I can see how many people opened, how many people clicked. But under actions, I can also view who I can view in Convert. And when I do that, this brings me to a interface where I can see anybody who opened and anybody who clicked on this email. Now, some emails are going to have qualifying headlines. This is a partially qualifying headline, and the reason I say that is because there's not a ton of direct information. Like, I don't say Boca Raton in this email. I don't say a price point necessarily. But if I did, guess what? That would really be helpful for me. But even more so in this email, I have the actual property, the hot link, and it says the address here. So what I want to do when I look at Convert for Blast is I always want to look at the people who clicked. So this drop-down menu here, I always want to look at clicked first. These people are more important because they said to me, this content was worth it for me. That's what I see by this behavior. So if I click on Michelle Eckhart, I can scroll down, and again, I can see they've been in my database for over 100 days. I have an email, I have a phone number. They're already a hot prospect, so I've at some point already had conversations with them, and I've marked them as a hot prospect. And then down here, this is going to show me all of the activity that they've engaged with. So I see this email, they clicked on this. When they got to my site, they also saw but they viewed this property. So when I see somebody who's looking at this particular property and I have a phone number, this is under Joy's lead. But if I was the agent, I would say, okay, I'm going to call Michelle, dial her up. I'm going to introduce myself. Hey, Michelle, it's Craig from Curator. I'm just reaching out to my network today about some few opportunities that just came available in Boca Raton. I'm not sure if that's anything that is important to you, but if it was, do you have a couple minutes to chat? That's it. If they say no, okay, that's perfectly all right. I do notice that you're on our email distribution list. Is there anything that would be important for you to make our content maybe more relevant to things you're interested in? So that's just if they say no. If they say yes, boom, you're in. Start talking to them. Great. And just so I know, have you currently been looking, or are you actively looking? Are you just in the beginning stages? That might help me to understand, more about how I could help you. So you start to go into that qualification mode. So you know that they're looking at a house in Boca Raton. You're reaching out. You're introducing yourself. You're letting them know that you're part of their network, that they're part of your network rather, and that you wanted to let them know about some new opportunities in the Boca Raton market. And if that's important to them, did they have a few minutes to chat? So you're not saying, hey, I know you checked out 1100 Northwest 8th Street. What'd you think? You're saying, hey, this is who I am. This is what my deal is. And I want to see if that's important to you. And you know it is. And some people are going to show you more behavior than others. And so, again, that's one individual. Because this is Joy's, that was if I was the agent. But if I'm Larry, guess what? I'm going in. I'm doing a nudge. I'm telling Michelle, I'm telling Joy, hey, Michelle, just checked out our property. Reach out, use this line, and give them that opening line. If you're a sales manager, give them the opening line. Give your agents that comfort level to get started on this follow-up, because you're giving them a reason instead of a list, and now you're giving them an introduction line instead of a script. So that's it. You don't need to be thinking about how do you have a 2-page scripted response. Give them a reason to call, which is this, and give them an introduction to give them confidence to get started. Again, Louis Bardo, I could go down this entire list, and see all the people, and I would have the same conversation started for all of them. Some of them, if it's somebody that would be a little bit different. Somebody who maybe you've been talking to them and they had been talking about a certain city and now they're looking in a different city. That's a quick check-in call. Hey, Tom, it's Craig, just checking in to see how you're doing after the Memorial Day weekend. We certainly were showing a lot of houses, but I wanted to make sure that I stay top of mind with you. Has anything changed since we spoke, a month ago, in terms of your search? And they'll tell you, oh yeah, we actually expanded where we're looking, or we think we're not qualified for as much as we originally thought. Whatever it may be, but it gives you the reason to call. And so that's using Blast, and this can be used in all avenues. If you have a piece of seller content, like we provide in our marketing plan. For instance, this one, first name, don't make these mistakes. This one got a killer open and click-through rate. It wasn't sent to a ton of people. But the content here was about selling. And so guess what I'm doing? I'm going to view who those people are and convert. I'm going to, because again, this subject line is not a qualifier, so I don't really know that much about these people if they just opened, but if they clicked, guess what? They read this email, they know it's about the sale of your home and how to avoid these pitfalls, and then these are the people that I want to talk to, the people that clicked, the people that show intent. So if you want your agents, if you want to produce more, if you want to have a bigger business this year than you did last year, focus on the people that are showing intent. Focus on your marketing, and then focus on the people that engage with that marketing. Is that clear? I just want to make sure that comes through as clear, because that's really at the heart of what great marketing can do. Is great marketing, yes, it helps you get awareness. It helps you to build the database. It helps you to nurture and retarget. And those are all kind of not buzzwords, but those are kind of the activities. But really, marketing helps you to find people, or should help you to find people that are engaging with that marketing and then have the conversations with those people. Hopefully that helps to put it in perspective rather, is that's what our marketing strategy helps you to do. So for Arlene, again, phone number, I have this. If I don't have phone numbers, again, it's video. Get in front of these people, send them a video message, say, hey, it's Craig from Curator. I'm reaching out to people in my network about the changing market in Boston. If you had been thinking about selling or potentially buying a second home, I have some information that might be valuable to you. Let me know, and if not, that's fine. Keep me in mind if you ever do have any questions about the real estate market. So that's it. That's exactly what you're saying in a video, and you're sending that through an email. For this person, though, guess what I would be doing? And I see that they did a few other things since. So this person, not only did they go to the 7 Ways to Sabotage Your Home blog, but at the same time, I noticed that they were looking at another property. So that was interesting to me. My first concept was to reach out to here, but now I know that they also might be upgrading or downsizing, depending on what this property is. But I'm still going to lead with the same thing. Hey, it's Craig from Curator, and I'm reaching out to people in my network, and I'm doing a quick survey as a project to find out who owns versus rents in the current market. Which one would apply to you? They're going to let you know. You say, oh, great, thank you for that. And do you have just another minute? I have just 2 more follow-up questions for that. And you can even lead in with, oh, great, you own, that's fantastic. How long have you lived in your home? Once you're in, you don't necessarily need to ask permission anymore once you have gotten that first response, and you can create more of a conversation out of it. And then from there, hey, oh, that's great. You've lived in your home for 20 years, or you've lived in your home for 5 years. That's fantastic. When is the last time that you got a market appraisal, by the way? Or an updated, market appraisal? And continue that conversation. And then you'll get to trip over the truth of, oh, would it make sense if I did one for you? And by the way, have you done any kind of home improvements since you initially, bought the home? And get into that conversation. So that's what this allows you to do. You guys know how to close or how to qualify and convert and establish relationships. Convert is helping you to do that. Convert is all about getting that activity and showing you those people. And now lastly, the last thing that I would want to show you is kind of the third way. So you can use Convert straight up. You can use Convert to look at your blast activity. And then you can also go and you can look at Convert through the content. So you use content in your ads and your emails, and you use blast as well. But if you have a really meaningful piece of content, so I'm going to go to the blog, and we'll just take this for instance. So on your blog, again, you have the 5 most Instagram worthy places near you. That's a good engaging piece of content, but what about, is selling your home right now a mistake? That, if somebody reads that, comes to your site and reads that blog, then that tells us something about them, right? And so you can actually use the /convert short link, add /convert. You can use this on any page, any blog. We call this using your money pages, something that somebody would visit when deciding to hire you for your services here. So I'm going to /convert. It logs you in. And then this will show you of those people who has seen this. So this blog, it looks like Larry actually might not have used this in his marketing strategy. So this is a really big, there's some opportunity here to use for that campaign. So you can go again to any page on your site, type in /convert, and that'll show you all the people that engaged with it. So hopefully this was helpful. This is the number one thing you can do. If you're a marketer, your goal should be getting your sales team to pay attention to this activity. If you're a salesperson, your goal should be to follow up with as many people who engage with your marketing. And so today we showed you how to send that email. We also gave you the tour of Convert and how workflow should really look. And at this point, I want to take time to answer any questions that have come up during today's session. So please, if you dropped questions into the chat, stay on. I'll get to those right now. If you have to leave, that's fine. If you could please take 2 seconds there's 2 question survey after this. Just give me some feedback on anything in terms of flow, clarity, what you learned, what you hope to learn on future sessions. That helps us to actually get better here. And then lastly, if you're thinking of, hey, I didn't execute those other campaigns, and really the reason was maybe because of time. I didn't have the bandwidth to do it. I haven't done the training. I don't see myself doing this. It's not my forte. We have a program called Marketer. It is for people in your exact situation. If you don't have a dedicated marketer and you're struggling to execute, don't let your business slip away. Take your business over, take on Marketer, and you're going to have consistent and quality marketing every single week. And it shows based off even the 5 campaigns that we used in today's email blast. So if you feel like that's a program for you, type help, just help in the chat right now. And I can, reach out afterwards for a short consultation. So please, make sure don't be too proud. We do have the program. Over a third of our clients use it, and their results are turning into, you know, their convert results are really multiplying and magnifying every single week. So keep that in mind. So without further ado, I'm going to get to some questions here, and we'll make sure that we get everything answered here in the chat. Awesome. So I see, one reason for not following up from one of our people on today is lack of confidence when calling folks. Listen, I get it. Some people just aren't cold callers. I don't want you to be. I just talked about 3 services: BombBomb, Soapbox, and Loom. And what does every lead you have, for the most part, have in common? You have an email. And what do we know about, let me type this in. I'll actually drop this in the chat. What do we know about the online consumer? They don't pick up phone calls. Everything's a spam call nowadays. So wouldn't it make sense to work smarter to follow up with leads than harder? So you don't need, if you think that you need a phone number to grow your business, then you're living in 2005. Because today, what you need is you need an online presence, you need visibility, and you need trust. What's the fastest way to establish trust? Video. And video, we're not talking about video marketing. I'm talking about 20, 30-second videos to introduce yourself to your audience. So I'm dropping it right now. Hopefully, if you had hesitation because of cold calling people in the past, don't let that stop you, because that's only gonna be a self-inflicted wound when you say to yourself, "Hey, I have a failure to follow up with leads because I don't like to cold call." Nobody likes to cold call, and we're not encouraging you to. So use these tactics. Use video. I just dropped in 2 free ones, Loom and Soapbox. Those can really take your business to the next level. Plus, if you're spending 5 minutes to dial a phone number, if God forbid if you leave a voicemail, or if you get on a phone call and then you get rejected, that actually takes longer than it takes to create a video and send an email. So you're actually working more effectively by using video. But thanks for that piece of insight, because hopefully that, for everybody else on the call, maybe that struck a chord too. I got a question here. How did they get that header in the email? Looks awesome. Can you tell me which header, was it the most recent campaign we were looking at? Oh, I might know what you're talking about. Are you talking about the "Don't Make These Mistakes"? Give me some feedback there. Is it the first name, "Don't Make These Mistakes," or was it a different one? If it's the "Don't Make These Mistakes," all you're going to do is, I'll just go to a draft real quick. If it's in here, let me go to edit and send. All you're going to do is you're going to do the personalization piece. You're going to type in first name, and then you're just going to copy that into the subject line. Oh, don't make these mistakes. And then you don't need to do it again in the email. So, but that's just how you do it. Use personalization in the body, and then copy that into the header. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if that's Was it about open house? Let me come back here. Let me see, maybe I missed something. Oh, with the open house, if this, you just type it out. That's just typing a subject line. If let me know if that makes sense. If this was the one you were wondering about, this is just text. So you're just typing open house Saturday, Sunday. That's it. Cool. All right. Well, listen, that was it for questions here. I do want to thank everybody, on the call. Thank you very much for joining me. It's great to see a lot of new faces, but also some long-term, clients here as well, trying to hone in their craft. Again, if you've been following our strategy, send this email today. If you're new to our strategy, follow our weekly strategy with listing promotions, with the marketing plan, and then use Convert. I can't stress that if you're using Convert and you're sending video messages and you're calling people who you have phone numbers with, like that is the recipe for success. And you will strip your agents of any excuses, and you'll strip yourself of any excuses if you feel like you've been making them. Again, if you have any questions about the marketer program, feel free to reach out to me. It's just craig@curator.com. We do this marketing for over a third of our clients here, and it might just be the one thing that helps you to get your business on track here in 2019. Looking forward to next week where we're going to be doing listing promotions, and we'll also be doing the marketing plan as well. Take care, guys. Have a great week.